Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. His name's Wesley. You're 16, right, Wesley?
Yep, 16 years old.
Yeah. This is crazy. Actually, I'll let you introduce yourself and what you've done already at, still being for somebody who's still in high school, which is absolutely crazy to think about. So, yeah, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about who you are, what your hobbies are, and sort of what your businesses are?
Yeah, so I'm Wesley Ross. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Woodbury, Minnesota, originally born in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, my hobbies are I'm an avid car enthusiast. I love to trade stocks, so I consider that a hobby. And I'm a really, really big paintball player. In terms of business, I sell to the government through federal contracts. I run an automotive accessory store, and I'm working on a motorcycle startup.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's incredible. I actually I used to play paintball a while ago. I still play every now and then. So what type of paintball and are you like speedball or do you like more milsim stuff or what type of paintball do you play?
Yeah, so I actually play both. I have five guns actually. But my two favorites are my speedball, which is an Empire Mini. I
Okay,
probably shelled out like $600 into that gun. And then my milsim is a Tipman TMC. Again, I've probably done like $800 into that gun, and I mean, I love to play almost every other weekend.
that's awesome, man. That's so cool. So yeah, let's jump into what was actually your first business?
So my first ever business was a lawn care company. I started with my friend back in Georgia. Um, we bought two lawnmowers, and we kind of went around the neighborhood, and we were charging like $20 to do the front and backyard, and we would spend 8 hours just kind of because we were like 10 years old, just kind of going back and forth over lawns, doing that, cutting them. It was fun. It was a cool little summer project. But yeah, that was my first ever kind of project.
Okay, cool, cool. So you were actually you said you were 10 years old when you started this. That's crazy that you're at 10 years
Yeah.
old. You're like I want to go start. I want to start making some money and start being able to start a business or something. So you had the lawn care company. And then what sort of got you into government contracting?
So before I got into the contracting, I used to sell auto accessories. And I mean, I'd get a few orders a day, bring in a little bit of money, but it was never the amount of money that I was looking for. And so I saw the War Dogs movie, and it kind of went over the story of these two 20-year-olds who made $300 million and then went to jail because they cut a bunch of corners and things like that. And I figured, well, hey, like I could do that, except not go to jail. And that'd be a whole lot more money than the auto parts could ever do. So I took my savings from the auto accessories and I moved into the contracts. I registered in July, did my first contract in August, and a lot better than selling auto parts.
Wow, that's so literally you. So when did you first? Sorry, when did you actually first watch the movie till actually doing your first contract? How much time was that?
So I saw the movie over. Oh my gosh, I think it was like a month after it originally came out. I went to the theaters and saw it, and I really liked it. But I kind of just it was like one of those movies you just see and you're like, oh, like I'll go back to doing my daily life. And then over the summer, I had actually rewatched it again because I really liked the movie. And then I kind of sat down and followed it a lot more, and that was really when I kind of settled on this is something that like really could be done. Because I mean, for me, I think I was like 13, 14 when I originally saw it, and the only things I remember were $300 million in jail. But then, as I sat down and actually watched it, I saw all these steps of this process and all the things that like the potential it has to actually like grow and be something really good.
That's wow. That's crazy. And then so you watch that, and then literally you just so the thing that I find so crazy is that you're so young, like you're 16 years old, you're still in high school, and you decide that hey, I can do this too, and you go and take on this huge. Well, it's not like a huge problem, but to a lot of people, it might seem huge. Like government contracting, that that sounds crazy. Winning government contracts, like and doing all that sort of that nature. And then, so were you actually nervous when you first did it? When you were going through your first contract, were you like nervous for it, or were your previous businesses that you sort of had sort of you built confidence in that area and that sort of helped you go through the new process of government contracting?
Yeah, so I was quite confident kind of going into my first contract. The only real fear that I had was what if they like reject the item because it was canned food and it's food, so you have to be really really specific with it. Um, and so my fear was, oh my gosh, they're gonna like reject the order. The food's not gonna be good enough, and then they're gonna send it back. I'm not gonna get money, and I actually end up losing money. I'm happy that didn't happen, but that was my only real fear. Like Leah said, kind of running those businesses in the past really brought up that confidence for me. And I mean, by the time I had got my first order, I was ready to go.
Okay, okay, wow, that's yeah, that still amazes me, and it's crazy to see how well you like articulate yourself, when you're talking and speaking and stuff, and how focused you are at such a young age. It's incredible. Um, so you won your first contract. Uh, what happened after that? Did you just go on a spree of winning more contracts?
Yeah, so I had won my first contract, then I did another one. And I'd actually ended up taking a month-long break from them just because we were kind of getting back into the school year and getting really into the swing of things. And I wanted to kind of focus on school a little bit more. I still traded stocks, and my auto accessory store was still a thing just because it kind of ran itself at that point. But I kind of took a break from the contract just because it wasn't a big time commitment, but it was something that was really making my attention go away from school. Um, and then kind of back in October, November, that's when I really started getting back into them. And then after that, I just started rolling them one by one.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's crazy. That's actually so you went back to school, and you must be in. I'm from Canada, so would you be in grade 11 or?
I'm going into grade 11
Yeah,
next
yeah.
year, or this
Okay, so you're
year,
going into
after
grade
summer.
11. Wow, that's insane. Okay, so actually that's very interesting. So you're at high school right now, and you're doing this government. So how do you sort of manage your time with doing this, right? Like, I mean, you're at school for Monday through Friday doing this school, like schoolwork, all that sort of stuff, and then you have to these government contracts. So how do you like, when are you making those phone calls, and when are you sort of searching for the suppliers and then winning the contracts?
So a lot of my day is divided into kind of doing contracts at the very start of the day and the very end of the day. So my school starts at 8:30 in the morning, and I usually wake up at around 5:30, 6 a.m. And I like to spend that 2 hours before kind of going over the contracts from the previous day, and then I'll kind of save them all into a folder of, I'm gonna be on these later, and I go to school, go about my day, and once it's all done, I'll come home, I'll sit down for like an hour or so, kind of go through all the contracts, select a few to go on that night, do my homework because that's important, and then after that, I will kind of start doing a lot of research on maybe 3 or 4 contracts that I can really get done with, and I'll find companies that can provide them, get contact information, send out emails, things like that. But a lot of my big work goes down, I'd say between the hours of like 11 a.m. and 3 a.m. Like or 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. That's where I really work. That's where like all of my emails are sent. All of my work really gets done.
Wow, that's crazy that you've got like such good time management skills with this business. So so what I want to talk about the characteristics of like sort of you personally, right? Because like a lot of people, you're a very like you're a very special person that have like, because you're 16 years old, and do you enjoy doing these contracts? Like, what motivates you to do this and keep going?
Yeah, so personally, I at the start I really did enjoy doing the contracts. I mean, it was just like so brand new for me. Um, Kind of now in terms of things like I don't spend a lot of time on it, like maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, but it can get really boring not really being able to like do things. Like I know like kind of like being the owner of a business, you're not really like doing things, but I would like to like be more hands-on with things like that. 'Cause, I mean, I sit behind a desk in my bedroom and I just work. So there's not really much of like things to do. So it kind of gets boring sometimes. And that's why I was really happy to kind of move on to this my new projects. But I guess what pushes me is kind of just achieving the goals that I want to achieve. I mean I know exactly like where I want to do and where I want to end up with my life, and there's so much potential with the contracts to kind of grow my capital so I can move on to other things. And for me, it's achieving those goals and kind of making my own success story. Because me and my mother, we used to live in the really, really awful parts of Atlanta, and we kind of moved up from a single apartment into Atlanta to now we live in the suburbs of Georgia. Now we live in the Coolio parts of Minnesota. Um, and my mom herself has done a lot of hard work for me, and it's kind of a process of I want to provide that back for her. I mean, I want to buy her a nice house, buy her a nice car, help her pay off the rest of her student debt and things like that. So kind of help her out and then build my own success story where I can kind of live that successful life at an early age.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, wow, it's just crazy hearing you talk about all this and sort of like how active you are, and you're like, you're actually, because a lot of people might get caught up in the thinking process of actually doing something. They're like, oh, I want to start that business, or oh, I want to go into government contracting, or I want to go into real estate or something of that nature, and they sort of get stuck, and you just sort of decide that what, hey, I'm just going to start doing it, and
Yeah.
you just start going, and you just start, that's the craziness of it. And it's like, for being such a being for such a young age, I think that you're going to be very successful, going forward into your early 20s to later on in life. So let's actually talk about that new project that you have. I think is it an electric motorbike?
Yeah. So it's called Phantom Electric Motorcycles. Um, and the concept and idea behind it is as the world moves to new electric ways of transportation, um, we currently do have a few really good electric motorcycle companies, but the problem that me and my friends have seen is that a lot of them don't really have the styling that a lot of riders like, and they kind of go with like the retro kind of European look. Um, a lot of them are either underpowered, don't have the range, or they're just way too expensive. I mean, you'll be paying $30,000 for a bike that would normally, for the same power, you pay $11,000 for. And so, kind of with those issues, we wanted to address them in a way with our new startup called Phantom Electric Motorcycles. Um, and we currently the project is to build one all electric motorcycle and one hybrid assisted motorcycle, kind of using the old frames of motorcycles to kind of build their own prototype and they kind of work from there. But we want to kind of dominate the global market for electric motorcycles and eventually just all of two-wheel transportation. I mean, we have really, really big goals and ambitions for what we want to do, but it's definitely a project that I know personally I will do. It's just for me, it's been trying to raise the capital in order to do it.
Okay, okay, that's pretty cool. So, um, what got you, well, actually, so how are you learning all this? Like, I mean, or is it just through Google and YouTube that you're learning about, like, how did you learn about the contracting? How did you learn about the company that you're starting, Find a Motorcycle, and like how to do all that crazy engineering work?
Yeah, so I learned about the contracting through the War Dogs movie. Um, and kind of following the steps of that, I did watch a good amount of YouTube videos that kind of talked about contracting and how to win and things like that. But it was kind of simple for me to get into it. I just followed the exact steps of the War Dogs movie. Um, But with the contracts, I have a friend. His name is Arrow Rudd. He's the owner of Zero 3D, which is a company in Wisconsin, and they make accessory parts for different Harley and Honda motorcycles. Um, and we were sitting down one day, and he was talking about how Harley made this electric motorcycle that everyone hates because it's $30,000 and no one likes the styling and it's really weak. I mean, we talked for like a good like hour or two just about this motorcycle, and all the ways in which we could improve it. And kind of, I went home that night. I really just sat down and I thought, like, hey, this is something that like I could improve. I mean, I kind of like that mentality of like, hey, there's a problem, I want to fix it, and I'll fix it. So I sat down, I kind of drafted up a concept, kind of addressed the issues, did a lot of research into the industry. I mean, I didn't sleep until like 5 in the morning, but I
Damn.
put so much time and effort into that single night. I knew like I have to do this. So I did a little MIT course on electric vehicles. I did a lot of research on electric motorcycles, and kind of just the whole electrical engineering path. I put together a team of friends. One has a degree in mechanical engineering, one has a degree in electrical engineering, and the other a degree in electrical engineering. And we really want to set out and like build this motorcycle, because I mean they kind of have their background, and I have my little business background, but I've done a lot of research to say the least on this whole motorcycle.
Wow, that's and when you're saying that you have these guys that have like electrical engineering and like all these different engineering degrees, these guys must be in their like early 20s that you're having a business with, right?
Yeah, so two are in their 20s and one is in his 30s. Um, and I mean they're really good at what they do, but we're fairly young. Or I guess I mean I'm the young one,
Yeah,
but we're fairly
that
young.
that's what I was gonna say, which is crazy. Is like you're 16 years old and you're still in high school and you're bringing this like you already have like a pretty good business resume of the businesses that you've started, and and you're partnering, you're putting a team together, and you're doing like a CEO role, right? With putting the right people in place to execute on your business plan. So I find that crazy. So. Uh, what do you think actually? So I want to jump to pretty much because there's a lot of people that might be younger, like 14, 15, 16, that might be watching this and thinking like, wow, this guy's crazy. So what would you say to them for them to get into that like um, sort of like motivational sort, so they could sort of be like, I can actually do it too. Like I can actually, like this guy's 16, so that means like, I'm 15. I can actually start the business that I've been thinking about since I was 14 or something.
Yeah. I guess what I would say to anyone around my age, just anyone in general, is that, you know, you have a long life, not to wait, and then follow your dream, but instead start now and make those mistakes, hit those bumps, and run aground sometimes, so that when you finally hit it, you hit it when it's the right time. And what a lot of people think is the way to go is go to school, get a degree, work some decent job, and then maybe when I'm 45 years old, I'll start some company. Um, and then I'll work till I'm 65 and things like that. Um, and it's never too early to start. You don't have to. For a lot of people, sure, go to college, do that, work a job, retire when you're 65, and buy a house somewhere in the Cayman Islands. But if you really want to do big things and you really want to grow as a person, as a business, and kind of achieve that level of highness, it's never too early for you to start. I mean, I'm 16 years old and I sell to the government. It's just it's overcoming that mind barrier of I think I'm too young to start, or what if this doesn't work, or what if that doesn't work. And if you want to do it and if you want to have those goals, then you have to seek after them, and you can't let anything get in your way of that.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thanks for that. That was a lot of value there. That was good. That was awesome, man. So, what do you think you're gonna go to university after high school, or do you think you're just gonna run with like once you can get this business up and running and going, then you're just gonna just run through that and not go to university? So what sort of your future plans right now?
Yeah, so originally I'd wanted to go to UCLA or Webb Institute for Naval Architecture, and I wanted to work for like Carnival or like Royal Caribbean. Um, Currently I have no idea. Some days I'm like, yeah, let's go to college. Other days I'm like, I don't know. But I think on the on the whole family side of things with college, it would definitely be nice to go since there's only been a few people in my family who have gone. Even if I'm not really going for the education, kind of just to, show my family like, hey, like I went to college. Um, but it was definitely something I consider, or I'd still consider going to. I know UCLA has always been a big college in my eyes, just because I love Los Angeles, I love California, but I have no idea what I would study, um, or kind of what I would really even go to do. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the thing, right? Like you've sort of figured out that you don't really need university to start all these businesses, right? Like you sort of learned that, hey, I've got Google, a laptop, and I've got YouTube videos, and I can just, learn everything I need to learn for a business just by typing in how do you do this or how do you do that or a video of how to put this together or that together, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what actually I want to talk to you actually about university and schooling because I find that really interesting with how sort of universities changing right now. Like we're in a global pandemic right now, and a lot of my friends, I have one friend who's in an architecture program, and I got other friend in other programs. And I know that if nothing really comes out medically to sort of like fix the pandemic, then the majority of their program is going to be online learning, right? Which is pretty much similar to why am I going to pay that huge tuition check and learn online when I can just do it. I can learn online anyway, just with a laptop and just go to different sites where they provide a lot of free information. So I'd like to
Yeah.
get what are your thoughts on that? What do you sort of think's going to happen with that? If you've actually given that any thought?
Yeah, so I feel like for a lot of people, the main reason of going to college was, the whole education side of things, but kind of that experience of like being there, going to these classes and things like that. And so when you say, hey, you're still gonna be paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to just go to a $50 online program, I feel like it kind of hits really hard. Especially for those people who aren't really getting refunds on their semesters. And I feel like it's something that like it's made a lot of people think of like, hey, is college something that like really was worth it from the start? I mean, if they're just gonna treat us like this and kind of just make us move to these small little programs and still pay out all this money, I mean, if we're just learning from our computers, is something I could have did before I even applied to go to college. Um, and well, personally, I feel like it's something I hope wouldn't happen in the future. Sometimes it does, feel that way. I mean, ever since we started reopening things, a lot of cases have been going back up and things like that. But I really hope it's something we can get under control because I really feel bad for these college students who, they want to go to learn, they want to be in that environment, they want to go to these classes and things like that. And now they're just working from their computer. I mean, oh wow, college experience.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, I have college friends who I've literally watched drink over a Zoom call together. And I mean, that's like, I'm not saying I support college drinking or anything like that, but like, if you're gonna like be there for college for the whole like drinking experience, you don't want to drink over a Zoom call with your friends that are miles and miles away. You want to be there and party and things like that. So
yeah,
it feels I feel really bad for them, but
yeah.
I I think we could see a lot of universities kind of doing that whole online thing, even once the whole COVID stuff passes, just because it takes a lot of stress from the facilities, the teachers, and things like that. And if it's something that works out, they might pursue it.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's understandable. Yeah, that's sort of been my thinking too. Is that because like there's still quite a lot of people that it's very interesting that we're in a day and age of entrepreneurship where a lot of people are doing startups and a lot of people are starting their own businesses, but there's still a good chunk of the population that they want to go to university, get their degree, and then they want to work in a company that that they've always that they find really interesting, whether that be like let's say Shopify or Tesla or these different types of huge companies, which are really interesting to work for. Um, so yeah, that is very interesting. So I've got another question here. Just so actually, yeah. So what? So you're doing all this sort of business work and starting these companies. What does sort of happiness mean to you? Like, do you find you overstress yourself too much with stuff, or how do you sort of manage all that? And what really makes you happy?
So I I work a lot, to say the least. And I really stress myself out sometimes. Sometimes, I mean, I run off 2 hours, maybe sometimes 1 hour of sleep. Um, and a lot of days, I really question what I do. But personally, I know the end goal of where I want to get, and I know that I'll do anything for that. And that end goal is that happiness. I mean, I it's okay, this is gonna sound cliche, but I mean, I just want to have like, a nice house somewhere where it's nice and warm, where I can drive some fast car because I mean, I am a car enthusiast. So
Yeah,
just a nice car, fast little car, and kind of being able to have that freedom to go explore the world, to go to the vast regions of everywhere and just see everything, do everything, and not really have to worry about, oh, well, I work this 9 to 5 job and I get 2 weeks of vacation a year. But instead, I run this company. I can, let my employees do it while I go explore and have fun and things like that. I mean, of course, I mean, I also want to focus on the company and things like that. But there's so much in my life that I want to see and do, and being able to achieve that status where I can freely just do that, go about doing that is kind of where I see my happiness lying. And I mean, I want to be able to provide for my mom, my sister, myself, any family that I end up going with and when I'm older and things like that. So being able to just kind of live that successful life of just having freedom to be happy and kind of see the world is where I want to go.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That's sort of my thinking as well. Is that I'd rather work my 20s working ridiculous hours so I can have my 30s and 40s enjoying life with my family or whatever happens down in the future. And also too is I've so yeah, America doesn't. So Canada's a little bit different with the healthcare system. That for I believe that for you guys that if for healthcare you have to pay each time you have to go see a doctor. Is that correct or is that yeah?
Yeah, no, that's
That
correct. Oh man, it's bad. It's bad. If you want a little example of how bad it is here, I had a phone call with my doctor, um, over it was like over, oh, my teeth. I was like pain in my teeth. My ears were clogged up, and it was a 15-minute conversation, real quick, over the phone because of COVID, and we got the bill, and it was $220 for that 15-minute conversation.
$220. That is insane.
Yeah,
Wow, that's actually crazy because in Canada the healthcare system is literally you have you have a little health card and pretty much you can just book your appointment, you go in and you pretty much you swipe your health card and then you pretty much go see the doctor and you don't have any bill unless you're getting unless you're getting medication, or let's say if you're doing like a dentist or something, then you'd have a bill for that. But that's absolutely insane. Yeah, that's crazy for America. Wow. So yeah, that's where it comes back to as well, is that working those crazy hours so you can be successful. So because in the future, I think we have this big pandemic, and I think um, a lot of medical infrastructure is going to actually change to, because before people were putting more on global warming and which is still very important, and all these other issues. But I think I feel like a lot of people are going to put money into pretty much the medical system, and because if there's another global pandemic, that's gonna, that was like the COVID-19 could have been a lot worse if, let's say, the virus mutated or something of that nature.
yeah.
So yeah, um, so yeah, that's crazy. So what what so you did the government contracting. You have this company. What what else is sort of we're actually we're coming to the end here. But what else is actually for your future plans, or what else do you have for future projects or anything of that nature? I know you talked
Yeah,
about the motors, but anything else really?
so kind of going off the motorcycle thing, I really want to expand into just about any viable market there is. I kind of like the Amazon way of things of taking your profit and expanding into a new area. And I'm sorry for the background noise. It's my little
Yeah,
sister.
yeah,
She
yeah,
wants cereal, but
no problem. That's
uh,
all good, man.
gotcha.
That-
But being able to kind of expand and dominate is my way of seeing things. Of well, here's this company I have. Let's take this profit and boom, let's go to somewhere new and kind of repeat and repeat and repeat. And you take more money and putting it into more and more industries. Um, and I'm not saying I want to be like a monopoly or anything, but that's kind of where I want to end up is like as a really big company, a big player in a lot of things. And I mean, any market, any industry, you know, if I see to it, I know I can do it. And as long as I have the proper funding to do it, I know I'll get there. So just right now, it's the contracts and the motorcycle. But give me 5, 10 years, and maybe it's make the new Amazon or build a new shipping empire, things like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah, because like yeah, I don't know. I'm just amazed with like what you've done and what you've done so far with the government contracting, the building that motorcycle team. So what do you have any actually another quick question, do you have any other interests like in the future? Would you, because you're seeing that like there's blue, I think it's Blue Origin, there's SpaceX, all these huge companies are starting to push more into space, which I think is really cool, that in our lifetimes that we could actually be sort of a spacefaring civilization where we actually we're able to travel like commercially to Mars or to the moon, and that sort of nature. So is that another area that's really interesting you?
Yeah, so I absolutely love space. I mean, I feel like for everyone's always been that, whole interest of looking to the stars and kind of going there one day. But I mean, I love SpaceX, and I know the capability and potential of SpaceX, and I know personally that as hard as I would love to like work to that point, I don't feel like it'd be really like possible to kind of ask them where they're going. Um, just because Elon Musk is a very ambitious person. I mean, he'll shell out as much money as it takes to kind of get to that point of controlling, the travel back and forth through space and, putting satellites in space and kind of just the whole space industry. Um, Personally, I feel like it's going to go towards them, but I would love to do something with space, but when you really have these big competitors like SpaceX, it does make it a lot harder. Um, because I mean, there's a big difference of like having big competitors in like contracts, we say, where you have like General Dynamics and Boeing, to then having SpaceX. That's because space and contracts are so different, and there's so many government contracts, but we only have one space.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so we're coming to the end here. There's two things. Any other advice that you have for somebody who's looking to start a business and get into the entrepreneurship space? And where can people find out more about you, your company, or if they want to get into contact with you to maybe do a business venture or something?
Yeah, so my one tip for anyone who's looking to start a business is you have to be persistent. And you also have to be patient. Kind of going with patience first is it takes a long time to start a business sometimes. I mean, for me, it took two, almost 3 months to get everything registered. But if you can wait, if you take the time and you slow down to get everything through, everything cleared, make sure that everything is perfect, it'll make your company come off a lot stronger, and it'll set you up for such a long-term growth and success. If you just wait that little time, because I know a lot of people, they aren't patient, they don't want to wait. They want to make this business and start now and just go. But you have to be patient if you're gonna follow through with your dreams. Um, Going off the persistency thing, you have to be extremely persistent in everything you do when it comes to business. I mean, I've had people who, they'll lose a couple hundred, couple $1,000 and be like, oh, this is the end of me. And then, they might close down or they slow things down. And then a few weeks or months later, well, here was this big opportunity that they missed because, they kind of pulled back. But lose money, take those risks, hit those bumps, take a loss, but be persistent in everything you do. You have to seek out that business. You have to seek out those contracts, seek out those customers, and when you find them and you hit your pot of gold, it expands into this large market that you'd have never saw if you weren't being persistent enough. So the more work you put into it, the more payoff is going to be.
Okay, okay, awesome. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, That was some great advice, and you're hitting on some strong points there. Persistence, patience, which patience is a big one. You don't see in younger, younger people because they want, they want to do it fast. They want to get it done. They want to sort of, have their business and grow it to this huge thing. But having the patience to be like, okay, no, we're going to make sure everything's set up before we actually start going with this. So the future's, the future's set up, and we can just explode once everything's been set. So, where can people actually find out more about you and your companies?
Yeah, so my current website for North Star Dynamics is nsdusa.us. For Speed Labs, it is speedlabs.shop. And my personal contact email, because I never check my business one that often. My personal contact is wesleyross.work@gmail.com.
Okay, okay, awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Wesley. It's been awesome speaking with you. You have an incredible story, and I think you're going to go really far, and I think you're going to start doing some pretty incredible stuff in the future. Once you start getting that funding and you get, into those spaces of the electric motorcycles and other interests that you have. And I wish you all the best, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.